What is going on, everybody? Voidlego here, back with a brand new episode of Higurashi When They Cry. Last time on, the mayor of Himizawa had disappeared, and we were trying to find him, or trying to find clues to his whereabouts. Eventually, we talked to Shion, and it was revealed that Shion had told the mayor about what happened that night at the storehouse. Meanwhile, at the same time, Kechi also confessed to Rika as well, and they both came to the conclusion that the mayor disappeared because of what Shion told her, and now we gotta find Rika before she disappears as well. So let's just get right into it. After hanging up on Shion, I searched for Rika-chan's phone number in my school contact list. There it is. My fingers trembled with urgency, and I failed multiple times to put in the simple 5-digit number.
Keiichi.
Let me turn down a little bit.
こんな時間に電話？夜遅くは先方に失礼だからよしなさい。
今はそれどころじゃないんだよ。
I shouted angrily at my mother, listening to the dial tone. Pick up, come on, pick up. The time was 11 p.m. Certainly it wasn't early. It was essentially the middle of the night. Had Rika-chan already gone to bed? Her phone would be ringing constantly though, so would she get back up for me? Rika-chan don't pick up. She didn't pick up. She didn't pick up! Maybe she just happened to miss it. Maybe her bed was just too far away from the phone. The sound of the phone ringing gets clearer and clearer the longer you go on sweeping. Then, the bathroom? Yeah, she must be taking a bath. If that was the case, then even if she heard the phone, she wouldn't be able to pick it up. It was a little late to be taking a bath, but it was possible she normally took baths right before going to bed. I'll wait 30 minutes and try calling again. Even I was just thinking that I called her house over and over again. I kept calling over and over again and again. I kept on calling her, but she didn't pick up even once. I think I kept trying for about 30 minutes, yet she wasn't picking up. Were my phone calls so persistent that she had gotten scared of picking up the receiver? No, that couldn't possibly be it. There was no point in doing this any longer. The best thing to do would be to go there in person. Where was Rika-chan's house, though? Shit, I've never even asked her where she lived. Her residence was when there in the contact list, but it was an address with mostly numbers, so I couldn't tell where it was just by reading it. Isn't there a map or something in here? Rika Furud. Her last name was Furud. It was a bit of an odd last name, so it might be easy to find. Thinking that, I rummaged around the drawer with the phone book, but could only find things like takeout menus and phone numbers for public establishments. Shit. Tore one thing after another out of the drawer, but I didn't come up with any clues as to where Rika-chan's house was. Calm down, Keiji Marabella. If you don't know, then just ask. Ask someone who does know.
そうだ。レナなら知ってるに違いない。
It's true. I looked up Lena's phone number in the contact list. When I Riku, there she was.
もしもし、竜宮です。
It was the voice of a grumpy-sounding man. Wow, first time actually meeting or hearing Lena's dad. Must have been Lena's father. I'm calling in the middle of the night. I need to be polite.
夜分遅くに申し訳ありません。前原と申しますが、レナさんはいらっしゃいますか？
レイナは風呂に入っていますが。あ、出たかな。レイナ、友達から電話だぞ。
Oh, right, Lena Wagu was her real name, wasn't it? I got so used to calling her Lena that hearing her real name caught me a little off guard.
もしもし。お電話変わりました。
あ、俺だよ。刑事だ。夜遅くにすまん。
あれ？ケイチ君？こんな時間に何かな？
実はリカちゃんの家がどこにあるのか知りたいんだ。
Lena seemed a little appalled that I called her for something like that at this hour. However, she spoke her next words seriously, as if she caught on to how urgent my need was.
いいよ。古出神社の境内に集会所があるよね。その裏手に2階建ての倉庫小屋があるのを知ってるかな？そこに住んでるんだよ。
Two-story shack? I couldn't immediately visualize the place, but as long as I knew she lived on the shrine grounds, I just have to take a look around.
わかった。
It's a weird place for a house, but I guess shrine grounds.
こんな遅くにすまなかったな。親父さんに謝っといてくれ。
そんなのはいいよ、ケイイチ君。それよりどうしてリカちゃんの家を聞くのかな。
Nothing, just, curious. When I asked in an unusually sharp way, halting me before I could hang up the phone. I hesitated for a moment about whether to tell her. He was killed because I told him.
ケイイチ君、聞こえてるなら答えてほしいな。どうしてリカちゃんの家の場所をこんな時間に聞きたいのかな。
Do you want Wanda to get involved in this? Wanda affected her usual tone beneath her words with a certain tension, like she intuitively sensed something was going on. What will you do, Kechi? If it's Wanda, can't I tell her? He was killed because he found out. I revealed everything, so he was killed.
ケイイチ君、レナは真剣に聞いてるんだけどな。答えてほしいよ。
Wanda asked me once again in a tone so forceful I couldn't imagine her ever using it normally. I was taken aback by her vigor. Wanda was Rika-chan's friend too. She had the right to be concerned about Rika-chan's disappearing. If I told Wanda, then, even if only for a moment, I could drive away my horrifying fears.
レナ、その理由を聞かれると困るんだが。
Wanda's tone was seriousness itself. Just from that tone, I could feel her saying, "No matter what you say, Kechi-kun, I'll believe you." That subtle sense of security gave me the courage to reveal the truth.
リカちゃんが
Shit.
危ない気がするんだ。
それは虫の知らせかな。それともリカちゃんに危険が迫っている何か確信がある。
But how much can you tell her before she gets killed? I really didn't have time to go back and forth with Wanda about this. Still, I think listening to her calm voice soothed my pointless impatience.
確信はないけど。
Yet, I still hesitated. I had told Rika-chan that we had snuck into the ritual storehouse. The mayor to whom Shion had confessed before that had already disappeared. So it was possible that Rika-chan also... I didn't know how to explain it to Wanda. While I was tongue-tied, Wanda spoke up.
変なこと聞いてごめんね。考えたら確信なんか必要なかった。
Wanda laughed a little, seeming a bit absent-minded. I wasn't exactly in the mood to laugh, so this time I was dumbfounded. Wanda continued in a cheerful yet still purposeful voice.
友達のことが心配になって、それを確かめるのに理由なんかいらないと思う。仮にリカちゃんが寝てて、それを起こしてしまったとしても、それが理由なら私たちは誰も怒らないと思うよ。
Wanda, thank you.
じゃあまずはケイチ君に確認するね。リカちゃんの家に電話はしたんだよね。それでどうしても繋がらないから家の場所を聞いてきたんだね。
Shit, you're smart.
ああ、10分以上は鳴らし続けたと思う。
But it's easy to deduce.
ひょっとしたら気づかなくて寝てるだけなのかも。
リカちゃんの家はとても狭いの。だから電話が鳴ったらたとえ寝ていても気づかないわけはないよ。さとこちゃんもいるんだから2人揃って気づかないわけはない。
Sadako?
サトコってリカちゃんと一緒に住んでるのか？
They live together.
うん、知らなかったの？今はその話は後ね。とにかく電話をそれだけ鳴らして誰も出ないのは絶対におかしいよ。
Wena understood that the situation wasn't normal far faster than I could have ever imagined her to. It made her seem dependable. However, the fact that Wena had acknowledged this also meant that the best case possibility of it all just being the result of my own needless fears went out the window.
私も今からすぐにリカちゃんの家に行くね。一緒に行く？なら迎えに行くよ。
わかった。じゃあいつもの待ち合わせ場所で合流しよう。待ってるぞ。
私、ケイチ君の家に迎えに行くから。だからお家で待ってていいよ。それからご家族に私と一緒にリカちゃんの家に行ってくるって伝えておいてね。
うちでいいのか？時間のロスのような。
あと、みーちゃんには電話した？みーちゃんはこういう時すっごく頼もしいの。まだなら私から電話しておくね。
My thoughts froze for a moment. Shiana just told me to be careful around Mion during our phone conversation a little while ago. If the Sonozaki main house was somehow working behind the surface of the annual freak deaths, then to the current heir to the family, Mion wouldn't be involved. So wouldn't that mean she wasn't uninvolved in what happened this year to Takano-san and Tomiki-san, and also the mayor's disappearance?
じゃあね。すぐに行くからね。待っててね。
That's all Wendell said before hurriedly hanging up. Now wasn't the time to be downing Mion. I needed to make sure Rika-chan was safe. I got change and grabbed the key to my bike. I figured things would go more smoothly if we met up in the place we usually do before school, when I wouldn't need to come all the way to my house. My parents would probably have objected if I told them I was leaving, so I creeped out without a word. The night was unusually warm and disagreeably humid. She said that Rika-chan and Sadako lived together, right? Then wasn't only Rika-chan. Sadako wasn't there either? Realizing what them living together really meant caused my thoughts to immediately take a turn for the worse. It can't be. Sadako is... She's got nothing to do with any of this. Even if there was a reason for Rika-chan to disappear, there shouldn't be one for Sadako. When I was really fast, she approached me on their bike at an amazing speed. Her breath was ragged, painting a clear picture of just how her way she'd been going.
Oh, Rena. さあ行こうぜ。
圭一君、私、お家で待っててって言ったはずだよ。
Rena's expression was all business. Was she mad? Came out of the blue and I faltered for a moment.
いや、ここで合流した方が早く出発できると思ってさ。
圭一君は本当に分かってるの？
Get what? Rena shouted, clearly angry. I'd never seen Rena like this before.
分かってるのかって何がだよ。
Rena seemed to notice she was scaring me, took a couple of deep breaths, then continued as if monitoring me, but her expression didn't soften at all.
圭一君、昨日村長さんがいなくなって村中で大騒ぎになったよね。
ああ。
そんな中で圭一君はリカちゃんとさとこちゃんがいなくなったって言ってるんだよ。
ああ。そういうことになるな。
じゃあもっと用心しなくちゃダメだよ。こんな夜中にたった一人でこんなところで突っ立ってるなんて不用心にも程があるんだから。
Shit, it's a good point. I began to understand where Rena's anger was coming from.
ご家族にはちゃんと私とリカちゃんの家に行くって伝えたよね。
No, that was a pretty fucking stupid mistake.
万が一私と圭一君が揃って失踪しちゃうようなことがあっても、いつどの辺でいなくなったのかを残すことができる。
Rena was perfectly level-headed in this emergency situation. Ever since the night of Higurashi, every night someone had died or disappeared. On the night itself, Takano-san and Tomiki-san met strange ends. The next night, the elder vanished. Now, on the next night after that, Rika-chan and Sadako were nowhere to be found. I hadn't been thinking of anyone but myself, but it wasn't enough to say that Himizawa was a little weird at the moment. It was in fact extremely strange. Rena had even anticipated our own disappearances and had told me to tell my family where I was going. I was embarrassed of my own carelessness, and the need to be embarrassed made me afraid of the night.
ごめん。まだ行ってなかった。
うん。じゃあ一緒に言いに行こう。
With Rena beside me, I wheeled back towards my house. Oh, new background. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. The sky that was uselessly vast and cold. So that no matter what, it would never seem to me like a dream. This cruel fact had already confronted me. On such a crazy night, when I had been unimaginably dependable, Himizawa's metamorphosis, enough to make Rena caution me against curiousness, was, to me, the most fearsome thing of all. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. We met up with Mion on the way, and she, of course, was unsure whether to believe me about Rika-chan and Sadako's different appearance.
ケイちゃん、本気で言ってんの？もし冗談だったらかなり怒るよ。
Mion was cruelly displeased. If this were a joke, it wasn't very funny. I understood how indiscreet my words were. Ever since the day before yesterday, someone had either died or vanished every night. Rika-chan and Sadako disappearing after all that was something you just couldn't say, even in jest.
みーちゃん、本当に冗談だったなら怒るんじゃなく笑おうよ。だって冗談なんだから。私たちはそれが冗談であることを確かめなくちゃいけない。
そうだね。機嫌の悪そうなことを言ってごめん。
However indiscreet a joke it may have been, if we weren't that our friends were safe, it would end up as nothing more than a funny story. Having been warned about that by Rena, Mion gave a dry smile. The tension she felt loosening a bit. She mounted her bicycle as well. Our free bicycles' lights flashed down the pitch-black roads. They were some of the only illumination outside. Except, of course, the moon.
ケイちゃんはなぜ急にこんな時間にリカちゃんの家に電話なんかする気になったわけ？
Mion asked me the same thing that I had trouble explaining to Rena.
虫が知らせたじゃおかしいか。
I couldn't quite tell because it was dark, but I thought I could see Mion smile in a very ambiguous way. I definitely understood that she wasn't convinced, though, despite their darkness.
俺さ、うたた寝してる時に悪い夢を見るとどうしても気になっちゃうんだよ。
ケイチ君はそれでリカちゃんがさらわれる夢を見たわけかな。
いや、そのもっと漠然とした予感みたいなものだよ。リカちゃんが電話に出てくれたならレナやミオにも続けて電話するつもりだったよ。
So interesting how in the previous chapter of the game, not this chapter's last chapter, confusing I know, Rena and Mion were like enemies, but now they're allies. It's very interesting, very interesting. I'm so fascinated. That's the best word to describe it. Just so fascinated by these characters. Why smoothly babbled out of my mouth, makeshift food though they were. I was lying because I thought telling them I was connected to Shion would be like silently admitting we stolen into the ritual storehouse together that night. Mion didn't press me any further. I don't know whether that convinced her. Or maybe she figured that making sure Rika-chan and Sadako were safe would be faster than making an issue out of it. I felt relieved and immediately a little guilty. Mion hadn't really been acting any different these last few days, but I'm still trying to distance myself from her for some reason. It was only because of what I heard from Shion Noshi-san that she was a successor to some kind of extravagant gang family. No. Was I just trying to force myself to forget? Don't do that, Kachimarbara. Wasn't Mion who was the first to ask about the night of the one at Higurashi? In such a harsh tone at that. Have I already forgotten the terror I felt? At the time, Mion looked like someone different from the Mion I knew. When I think about that Mion, then Shion Noshi-san's description of Mion made a tiny bit more sense. That's it, isn't it? If it wasn't for how she acted that day, then I wouldn't be feeling this way towards her now. What on earth was going on with her back then? I was conveniently thinking only of everything she had done after that. Well, disregarding the very first thing, the thing I should have been looking at most, wasn't I? Mion was pedaling her bicycle in front of me, her long hair fluttering in the wind. No matter how long I looked at her back, it never gave me the answers to any of my questions. We went all the way to the stone steps leading up to the shrine grounds. Of course, we weren't going to want to haul our bikes up there, so we parked them beside the staircase instead.
フルデ神社か。
みんな公園みたいな感覚で勝手に出入りしてるけど、本当は ここはフルデ家の立派な私有地なんだよ。
So the entire shrine is private property. It only makes you feel the passage of time. 10 or 20 years ago would have looked the exact same.
だとするとフルデ家って結構な旧家なんじゃないのか。代々続いた由緒ある。
ない。
What?
おかしいよ。
Lena said something clearly described me, so I went over to her.
どうしたレナ。
リカちゃんとサトコちゃんはいつもここに自転車を止めてるはずなの。ほら、どこにもない。
Shit. I took a look around. Indeed, there were no other bicycles aside from the ones we'd taken to get here.
他の場所に止めてる可能性もあるんじゃない。例えば担いで石段を上がったとか。
女の子には無理だよ、ケイイチ君。
Fair enough. Just as you said, I couldn't imagine Rika-chan and Sadako lugging their bikes all the way up there. We hadn't yet knocked on Rika-chan's door, but reality was already sparking some ideas that weren't what you call good. Maybe they were just parked under some trees and we hadn't noticed them. I refused to believe that not being able to find their bikes here was proof that they disappeared.
行こうぜ。家に行った方がはるかに確実だろう。
We all nodded and dashed up the stone steps. We passed through the wet arch and came onto the shrine grounds, which was covered in neat gravel. It was so quiet here, as though the Higurashi festival had never happened.
で、リカちゃんたちが住んでいる家ってのはどこにあるんだ。
こっち。ついてきて。
Linda took the lead and sprinted off. We went towards the assembly hall behind the shrine and moved around behind it. In the darkness of the night, we found a small, prefab two-story shack that looked like a warehouse.
明かり消えてるね。寝てるんじゃない？
ノックしてみよう。
Linda and Mion neared the shack, which didn't really look like a place people would live. Yeah, definitely. They had such a beautiful shrine, so I figured they'd live in an equally beautiful house. It was far from what I expected.
リカちゃん、サトコちゃん、いる？
Linda shouted up towards the second floor. Her voice was restrained at first, but it slowly grew louder. No answer. In fact, there wasn't any sort of activity in the house at all. Oh boy.
寝てるのかもしれない。起こしてみよう。
Mion banged on the shutter with both hands and the loud sounds echoed into our surroundings. They would have to notice this much noise. They wouldn't turn on the lights in the room, flinging open the windows and yell, "What time do you think it is?" That, however, wasn't happening. There was absolutely no response. Mion stopped slamming her fist on the shutter, and the sudden silence fell over us. The silence arose terrible thoughts in us. I could feel the blood draining from my face.
鍵かかってる。どこかから中に入れないかな。
Broken. Lena showed no signs of stopping. It didn't look like she would admit that they weren't there until we went inside and saw for ourselves. That refusal was given gave me strength.
2階の窓とか鍵をかけ忘れてないかな。俺ちょっと試してみる。
ケイちゃん、はしご。
Nice. Mion brought over a ladder that was standing against the house. The footing was a little unstable for me to be climbing it, but Mion held the ladder firmly in place for me. I didn't climb too many ladders. My inexperience with them exposed, I climbed up one step at a time and tried to open each window on the second floor.
みーちゃん、私念のため本宅の方も見てくるね。すぐ戻るから。
This isn't looking good. Lena darted away. What? A main house?
フルデ家の本当の家だよ。両親が亡くなって以来ずっと放置してあるそうだけど。
Parents.
あ そうか。
Oh, yeah.
リカちゃんのご両親って亡くなってるんだよな。
That is true. At that point, we called something else. Wasn't Sadako living here too?
サトコも親なしだよ。お社様のたたりってことで、両親が崖から落っこちてね。
So, yeah, I was right. That was Sadako's parents.
お兄さんだったサトシ君もいなくなっちゃって。
Older brother, not cousin, yeah.
サトシって前に聞いた名前だな。
I remembered. He was the one who disappeared last year because of the curse.
それ以来、サトコはリカちゃんと一緒にこの小屋で暮らしてるんだよ。
Jeez.
互いに身寄りのない一人ぼっち同士。助け合ってね。
本宅って言ったか？そっちで暮らした方が楽だろうに。
The curtains were drawn so I couldn't get a good look inside to see, but two young girls living together seemed like a pretty tough life.
初めはそうしてたみたい。でも、両親を思い出すから辛いって言って。
I had no idea. I feel really bad for them. They were normally so cheerful at school that I never even realized an atom of this.
リカちゃんもサトコも大変なんだな。
Jeez, living in a shack, both orphans. God.
呪われてるんだよ。
What?
Eh?
Suddenly, Mion said something in such a low voice that it sounded like she was really cursing someone, and I didn't let it slide. I turned around on the ladder to face her and asked again.
ミオン、お前今なんて言った？
呪われてるって言ったの。
Mion, still holding onto the ladder, brought her head up to look me in the eyes. As soon as our eyes met, an absolute zero jolt of electricity surged through my body. Oh, those fucking eyes again! Mion's eyes crowded over, and within them boiled and bubbled a stew of chaos. They whirled around and around like a raging sea, and bubbles floated to the surface. I had at some point been trapped in this ladder, like being cornered at a dead-end street.
ミオン、お前なんて顔してんだよ。
I intended to follow that up with, "You're going too far with this joke," and give her a forced smile. However, on such uneven footing as I was, the only thing that came out of my mouth was a hoarse groan as I desperately struggled to not let nausea overwhelm me.
北条聡子はね、お社様のたたりを一心に受けた呪われた子なの。
Mion answers with a response to something I never even asked, as if replying to somebody else's question.
公園の展望台から転落死したのは両親だけ。あの子をミソッカス扱いしてた冷たい両親だけが死んで、あの子は一人だけ助かった。
Treated her like dirt?
引き取り先であの子をいじめたおばは、綿流しの夜に異常者に脳みそがぐっちゃぐちゃに飛び散って、頭が原型をとどめないくらいにめった打ちにされて殺された。
Jesus.
いつもあの子をかばってたサトシ君も、あの子の誕生日に突然消えてしまった。あの子をいじめていなかったのに消されてしまった。警察は家出したんだって決めつけたけど、サトシ君は逃げ出すような人じゃなかった。いつも一生懸命、誰の力も借りずにコツコツと一人懸命に努力する人だった。たった一人の妹のために身を粉にして頑張ってたのに消されてしまった。あの子のためにだけに生きていたのに消されてしまった。かわいそうなサトシ君、なんて報われないサトシ君、なんて恩知らずなあの子なの。あの子は呪われた子。
Jesus,
あの
Mion.
子に近づけばそれが誰でも末路は同じ。たたりで死ぬかたたりで消えるか。あの子に安らぎなんてあるものか。あの子に安らぎなんてあるものか。リカちゃんが消えたのもきっとサトコのせいだよ。違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない。
Mion was mumbling words over and over that were no longer coherent. Her shoulders were trembling so hard that I could feel it through the ladder. I almost lost my footing, which made me realize just how far away the ground really was.
落ち着けよミオン。
Jesus.
何のことを言ってるのかわからないよ。
I wasn't sure if she even heard me. Mion walked back and forth, and that walking and trembling was becoming even more violent. Help me. The ladder, it's falling. Help me. Help! Just then I heard the sound of many people running towards us.
ここだ
I very nearly said help me outright. 4 or 5 adults led by Brenna ran over here with flashlights.
ケイチ君、みーちゃん、遅れてごめんね。
Jesus. So, Sadako's parents abused her, and so did her aunt. And the one person that treated her like a human being was her brother who disappeared. So Mion blames Sadako for it. So, I think that gives credence to the fact that Mion believes that Oshiro-sama's curse is real. And if she believes it's real, then why would... If she's the heir, why would the Satoshis be the one committing all these murders then? If she believes it as the heir. It's very interesting. Very interesting.
鍵借りてきたよ。
Also, it's really fucked up for Sadako. Like,
助かったね。どうも窓も戸締まりは完璧らしくてね。困ってた。
when I heard Mion talking like nothing had just happened, I again felt a chill run through me. The person currently holding the ladder in place, it was definitely Mion. It was the real Mion Samasaki. Then, the person muttering to themselves just a few seconds ago, who was that? The person who was mumbling about terrible things like curses, who was that? I jumped down from the ladder as if running away before Mion turned into that person who wasn't Mion a second time. The adults tried a few different keys in the key ring as they tried to open the big shutter in the first door.
リカちゃんの家はね、もともとは町会の防災倉庫だったの。だからシャッターの鍵を今でも村長さんの家が預かってるの。
今ではリカちゃんとサトコの指定だけど、まあもともとリカちゃんの家の敷地内だし。
The mayor kept the keys to this. Well, no. That could bring credit to someone unlocking the door and doing something, making them disappear.
誰も文句は言わないけどね。
Mion gave a smile as she said that. I, however, could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Mion was acting all too normal now, but that only contrasted all the more sharply with her earlier on Mion-like creepiness. Bang, bam, critter, bang! The shutter opened up for the first time in a very long while. When I located the light switch and wasted no time going inside, I followed her in.
リカちゃん、サトコちゃん、いるなら返事をして。
We climbed a narrow staircase. It looked like nothing more than a warehouse, but now that I was inside, I could feel how lived in it was. It was a person's home. Somehow the scent of the two of them filled the place. This was definitely where Rika-chan and Sadako lived. The first floor doubled as a town assembly warehouse, but the second floor was a space entirely for living. Oh, this music. This is haunting music, if I've ever heard. Just like a one-room apartment, past the kitchen was a living room taking up about 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards, and the like were packed into the space, and in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have been taken in from drying outside. In the center of the living room was a folded-up table, and on it were small containers for things like soy sauce and salad dressing. The sense of frugal lifestyle drifted from it, all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night like this. The adults climbing the stairs one at a time began to make a fuss and talk amongst themselves.
どう？
This is such good music.
やっぱりいない？
いない。絶対おかしい。
The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. Then today, even Rika and Sadako had. Were they out playing somewhere together? They can't be. Their bicycles aren't here, though. Where would they have gone so late at night? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. Eventually, Mion settled them down.
信じたくないけど、君吉の村長さんが消えたのが昨日の今日。無関係とは言い切れないね。
The adults' faces paled at Mion's declaration. My and Wena's did as well.
例えば、ご近所に行ってお茶でもごちそうになって眠っちゃって、起こすに起こせなくなってるなんて可能性ももちろんあるよね。
Why would Sadako disappear as well? Whoever is behind this, why are they making so many people disappear? Because of pretty much 3 people walking into the ritual storehouse and killed 2 of those people, but haven't killed the other 2. Why are they doing this? Is it really a psychological effect? Just to fuck with Shion and Kechi? I feel like there's more to it, though. There has to be more to it. Why would they also take Sadako? Because she was a witness to Rika's disappearance as well, maybe? Maybe, but that would... Why? Well, they lived in the same house, so I guess they couldn't very much split them off from each other. But why the fuck are they doing this? Truly, why are they doing this? Whoever is behind this.
その可能性をまず潰そう。
And the thing is, the more and more this continues, the more and more I think it's not the village behind it. It's not, why the fuck would the village do it? Is it the Sonozakis? Why would they take out the mayor? Possibly get into the seat of power? But then why would they take out Rika? She's the last child of the Farud family. Are the Sonozakis really making a power play to take over the entire town? But here's the thing. Why didn't they do this before? Why didn't they do this in the previous timeline? What was it that changed here? The only thing that changed from the last timeline, in my opinion, I feel like the biggest difference, truly, was because Shion and Kechi went into that storehouse. Because they went in there, this whole chain of events have happened. But still, why didn't they do this before if it is a power play? If it's truly a power play and they want to strike now, why didn't they do it before?
牧野さんは裏手から沢のあたりの家を回ってください。慶太郎さんはおじゃが池の方。岡村さんは
Mion promptly gave directions to the villagers. The adults followed them without hesitation despite her age.
私はここに残って電話で片っ端から心当たりに問い合わせてみます。じゃあ皆さん、そういうことで。
Got it. The adults all roared in reply and pounded back down the stairs before her.
さすがみーちゃんだね。
God damn it. I keep thinking the group behind us is the same group that the director is involved with. But we saw that both Mion and Rena were with them. They were with them. So why the fuck wouldn't they know about it? Are they faking it? Why the fuck would they fake it? We've seen both times. Like, Kechi has mentioned multiple times that when Rena or Mion changes, they're not like Rena or Mion. Is that a psychological effect? Okay, it could be 2 possibilities. 1, it could be actually them, what their true personalities are. And this right here, what we're looking at, is just a facade. Or B, it's some type of drug that's like affected, some psychological effect, brainwashing, something like that, that changes them into that. I don't know why. What the fuck is, what is this game, dude? What is this story? I have so many questions. I just want them all answered, dude.
茶化さない茶化さない。ほらどいて。おじさんは電話を使うんだから。
Mion grinned proudly, took the receiver, and got started. Lena gave me on a foot trusting work, considering her dependable for doing all of this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated, since her leadership seemed to be affirming the Sona's family successor impression that Shion then Oshi-san had given me. Stop right there, Kichimaru. None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika-chan and Sadako are safe. Let's see. Could there be a clue hinting at where they might have gone somewhere in this room?
とはいえ、そんなのわかるはずもないよな。
Yeah, it's not like you've been in here before. If we tore this whole place apart and figured out what was different from before, we might be able to speculate, but there was nothing strange about this room, and there were no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never been here before, exactly. There's no way for me to know what was different if I didn't know how the room usually worked. Hey, don't give up, Kichimaru. Stop thinking and start working. For something. So just something. I tried pulling open the dresser drawers and open the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful, though. Lena, also unable to stand around doing nothing, was looking around the room like I was.
でもレナ、
Well, obviously, whoever came in here, it didn't make a mess. Didn't make it look like a struggle.
冷蔵庫や流しの下の棚とかを開いても、リカちゃんは見つからないと思うぞ。
So, that could turn into two possibilities. Whoever kidnapped them was, they trusted them to, like, let them in. Or two, they came out of the house first, then got kidnapped.
隠れてるかなって思って。
As we were searching, it got noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably beyond me had called.
私、みんなに話をしてくる。遅かれ、警察も来るだろうしね。大石のやつにも事情を説明しなきゃ。
Mion began descending the stairs, and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already around 10 adults there, and all of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed that the old people from the shrine were here as well, and they were praying for Rika-chan safely, rubbing their prayer beads. This had gotten bad. This wasn't just a problem between friends anymore.
ミオンちゃん、リカちゃんとサトコちゃんがいなくなったってのは本当かい？
The villagers are formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. Mion raised her right hand as if silently telling them to calm down.
誰かの家にお邪魔していないか、町会の回覧区分に沿って全校をまず調べよう。本人たちがこっちの気も知らずに、誰かの家ですやすやとお泊まりしてる可能性もあるわけだからね。
It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika-chan if she had eaten a good full meal and fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. How nice it would be if that were the case.
こんなことは考えたくないけど、もちろん悪いことが起こった可能性もある。
Mion's face grew remarkably more grim, and a wave of silence washed over the adults.
我々も手分けしよう。昨夜の村長探しで回ったところをもう一度回る。
俺たちはダム現場をよく念入りに探してみる。お前さんたちは学校のあたりを探してみてくれ。
どうしたらはよ回らんと。行こう行こ
う。みんな昨日も村長さん探しで徹夜だったからね。寝不足で辛いだろうけど、どうかよろしく。
Got it. With that as their signal, oh Jesus, Wade. With that as their signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else had gone in. I was getting farther and farther from people. I didn't feel scared or anything, though. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I should be first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark. However, I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It was because tonight, someone had already disappeared. So nobody else would disappear tonight. It would take some time before I, exhausted as I was, would feel guilt at the cause of my own selfish sense of relief. Jeez. Why aren't they just taking Shion? Catchy. They already know. They already know. Why? Why? Suddenly, my vision cleared and cold wind caressed my body. This was the hill from which you could see the whole village. Looking down from this hill, I could see lights on here and there, and knew that the entire village had awoken from its slumber. First Akano-san and Tamaki-san, then the mayor, now even Rika-chan and Sadako had been sacrificed, and word of it was spreading everywhere. The strength in my knees left me. This could no longer be a joke. We could have found them. Mion would have told me I was a worrywart. Rena would just be glad we did, and they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awakening from a dream. That was what the view I could see was telling me. Following my knees, my arms were bent forward onto the ground, and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out if I was feeling sorrow or frustration. I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and I just told Rika-chan about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika-chan and even Sadako had been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I would each have to bear the weight until we ourselves were erased. Well, if I'm going that far, then the problem started long before that. My original sin of breaking taboo and entering the ritual storehouse without asking. I knew I shouldn't have gone in there from the start, yet I lost out to cheap curiosity. I hadn't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. There was a crunchy sound. I wasn't even interested in who made the noise, despondent as I was.
Keiichi-kun? Keiichi-kun?
It was, I don't know, perhaps my clawing at the ground made it look as though I was having stomach pains. She went over and rubbed my back to make me feel better.
俺が全部悪いんだ。俺のせいで。俺のせいで。
ケイチ君が何も悪いわけはないよ。自分をどうか責めないでね。
I could tell when I was doing her best to choose the right words out of consideration for me. That's why I couldn't sense her intent behind those words. Kechi-kun, you know why Rika-chan and Sadako-chan disappeared, don't you? This is what she really meant to say. Because it was an emergency when I ignored the reason why I wanted to make sure Rika-chan was safe, but now that we actually confirmed her disappearance, it was only natural Rena would start to wonder about why. However, with the situation I've come this far, I couldn't possibly tell her now. I didn't want to admit that Rika-chan and Sadako had disappeared, but I couldn't let Rena disappear either.
ケイチ君、こんな風通しのいいところにずっといたら風邪ひいちゃう。
Rena had sat down, bringing her eyes level with mine.
子供たちはね、もう解散して家で寝ろって。
Rena showed me her watch as she said that. It was long past 1 in the morning. Time was passing too quickly. Had I been crawling around here for that long?
もう寝ないと明日の学校に差し支えるよ。大人たちだって昨べも一晩中村長さんを探したからみんなクタクタ。今夜は少し早めに解散するって。
I was a little upset they weren't wanting as much time to this as they had to search for the mayor last night, but that was something I, the cause of everything, had no right to criticize them for.
大丈夫。さっきね、警察の人も来たの。今どんどん町から応援のパトカーが来てるよ。
Hearing that remark, I looked down at the village to see that there were indeed more cars than one would normally expect at this hour, coming from the darkness on the other side of the mountain. However, none of their emergency lights were on. Of course, their sirens weren't wailing either. That's right. All of the incidents that occurred right after Higurashi were seen as the product of Oshiro-sama's curse and would be handled in secrecy. We could chant in Sadako too. Their disappearance would end up exactly like the other serial incidents in the past. Superious, unresolved, declared a mystery, and disappear from memory. Rika-chan's face, her sweet face like Western dolls, would fade away. Sadako's smile, her energetic, faint smile, would fade away. The more I tried to remember them, the less I would be able to. I deserved to be called an idiot dozens of times over, and it wouldn't be enough. I couldn't hold back the tears at my own sheer stupidity.
圭一君が何を自分に責めているかわからないけれど、もうやめよう。
I wasn't about to deny it. I couldn't. Even so, I couldn't confirm it either. I wanted to at least keep Rena out of this. If she found out, she would be involved.
頼む、レナ。放っておいてくれないか。俺きっと家に帰ったって眠れない。
If I couldn't get to sleep, then I at least wanted to search for Rika-chan and Sadako until I collapsed. The entire village was looking, and yet they still hadn't been found. I don't think I'll be able to find them if I went walking alone at this point. Still, I had to do it.
俺のせいで消えてしまったんだ。他の探してくれてる人たちよりも先になんか眠れるものか。
I had said that to myself in self-deprecation, but I soon realized that when I was silently trying to find the meaning in my mumblings, I realized I had misspoke.
圭一君のせいなの？どうしてそう思うのかな？かな？
Shit. That can't be. Kenji-kun, you're not at fault. I was happy that Lena said these things to me, but she only did so because she didn't know the truth. If she knew that everything had been caused by my breaking taboo on the night of the Higurashi, then even Lena would curse my existence. However, I can't even allow for those curses. That would mean confessing my own crimes to Lena. If I spilled even one word of having snuck into the ritual storehouse on the night of Higurashi, then even Lena could disappear tomorrow night. The gentle, spirited, always joking, always howling, but at a time like this, the most dependable person in the world, Lena might disappear. I don't want that. Anything but that. This time I need to bear my own cross alone.
圭一君がとても仲間思いだって知ってるから。自分を傷つけたくなる気持ちもよくわかるよ。だけどレナは圭一君のせいじゃないって知ってる。圭一君が悪くないって知ってるから。
知ってるって。
The shivering in my veins rushed up my back and replaced the sorrow in my heart with fear. I didn't tell her anything, did I? Maybe I accidentally said something that caused Rena to figure it out. This is bad. Now Rena will disappear. Rena will disappear. Rena will disappear. Then Rena, the same way I always did, grabbed my head and began to pet it roughly.
圭一君、ひょっとして レナも消えちゃうかもしれないって思ってるのかな。お社様のたたりで。
She puts more force into the hand rubbing my head.
だったら安心して。レナは消えたりしないよ。絶対に。
どうして消えないなんて自信を持って言えるんだよ。
I mean, someone's been sacrificed every night so far. There was no proof that wouldn't happen again tomorrow night. There was even less proof, after all, that the sacrifice wouldn't be Wenna. I don't care who you are. Just please, if you're going to waste someone, waste me first. Please stop cruelly getting rid of the people we're close to, like the mayor for Shion, Rika-chan, and Sadako for me. Shion's hysterical shouting came back to mind. They must be planning to kill us last of all. They're not killing the first people who come to mind. They started by killing those we're close to, and then after they cause us so much pain, they'll kill us. That must be what they're doing.
レナ、
Please don't disappear. Please don't. As long as I'm still here, I could no longer conceal the sobs welling up inside me.
ほら、ケイチ君に涙なんか似合わないよ。みんなのところに行こう。婦人会の人たちがね、お味噌汁の炊き出しをしてくれてるの。飲むと温まって落ち着くよ。
Luna prompted me to stand. I didn't have the energy to oppose her, so I stood as she urged me to. We returned to the shrine grounds to find several gas stoves there with miso soup in big pots. The many villagers there sipped at the soup they were given in dead, stony silence. Their expressions were absolutely exhausted. Everyone had just been running around the village until a little while ago. From the dreary looks on their faces, though, I assumed they hadn't come up with anything yet.
ケイちゃん、どこ行ってたんだよ。ケイちゃんまでいなくなったのかと心配したよ。
すまん。
Neon held out some miso soup for me, but I refused the offer. I didn't have much of an appetite.
みーちゃん、どう？何か手がかりはあった？
Mion took a sip of her soup, her expression frank.
全然ない。学校が終わってから家に帰って2人で自転車に乗ってどこかに行ったらしい。しかも2人が自転車に乗った姿は全く目撃されていないし。
It's not like they even existed at all. When it gets dark out in Himizawa, people quickly vanish from the streets. Aside from adults hurrying back home from town in cars or on bicycles, it was normal to see absolutely nobody walking around outside. It wasn't at all strange that nobody had seen Rika-chan and Sadako riding their bikes.
昨日の村長の時と同じ。お手上げだよ。
Mion's apathetic tone picked my nerves, but that anger quickly subsided. She had been doing all sorts of things to try and find Rika-chan until just a second ago. If I asked her, she'd probably say she was up all night last night too, looking for the mayor, wouldn't she? She must have been far more fatigued than I was. Besides, what about me? I'd spent the time hunched over in this indecision all alone. I had no right to say anything about Mion.
ケイちゃんも辛いだろうけど今夜はこれで休もう。さっき今夜は解散しようってなったところだよ。これを飲んだらもう終わりにしよう。
終わりなのか？
あ、もちろん終わりじゃないよ。明るくなったら警察も増援を入れて徹底的に探すってさ。沖宮の方に行ってる可能性もあるからね。村長の件も含めて獅子骨市全体で目撃情報がないか洗うって言ってる。 それよりもケイちゃんだよ。どこに行ってたんだい？いつの間にかいなくなっちゃうから心配したんだよ。
So in a way I was on the receiving end, but I didn't have the willpower to respond.
すまん。気をつけるよ。
何もなかった？怪しい人に監視されてるとか付け狙われてるとかそういうのはなかった？
Mia demanded with a serious expression. I was being criticized for how inconsiderate I had been, despite being in so much pain. I was frustrated that I was being criticized, but it was my sin. My sin, and I must bear it alone.
何もないよ。でも気をつける。すまん。
Mia, now aware that nothing had happened, heaved a big sigh with her shoulders, looking relieved.
おやおやおや、おいしい匂いが漂ってくると思ったら、これはぜひご商売に預かりたいですね。
We heard the repulsive voice of the fat man. It was Oshi-san, trailed by a handful of police officers. He was acting energetically, in a way very unfitting given the situation.
大して残ってないですよ。それでもよければ勝手にどうぞ。
Mia didn't like Oshi-san very much. Her cold attitude, though, didn't seem to bother Oshi-san in the slightest. It was like splashing water in a frog's face.
ありゃりゃ。味噌汁のお残りってちょっと塩分高めなんですよね。参ったなあ。君たちはいただきます？
Her recommended it to his subordinates, but everyone gave dry smiles and refused.
どうですか？警察の方では何か手がかりはつかめましたか？
When the smile was warm enough to replace the miso soup.
大丈夫ですよ、お嬢さん。ご安心、ご安心。ちゃんと探してるんですから。
He didn't say a word about having found any new crews. In other words, there had been no progress. That sure was an annoying way of beating around the bush.
それよりも、もう本当に遅い時間です。どうぞ若い皆さんはお帰りになってお休みになってください。体に触りますよ。
そうだよ。ケイちゃんもレナも今日はもう休みな。あとは税金で働いてるおっさんたちがやってくれるから。
私たちだって税金払ってるんですけどね。蕎麦屋さんが自分の作った蕎麦食ってるみたいな気分ですよ。な。
Damn, this game's good for playing with the emotions. Just like a minute ago was like I didn't talk for any of that. I just read the dialogue, didn't say a goddamn word because that previous scene, that was fucking perfect. Just the music, the dialogue, every single bit about it was perfect. Like, I loved it. It was so amazing. It was, oh my god, it was so fucking great, dude. God, this game's so good, dude. This game's so good, man. I really wasn't in the mood for laughter. In fact, Oshi-san was the only one laughing like an idiot.
じゃあ本当によろしくお願いしますね。帰ろう、ケイイチ君。明日が辛くなるよ。
そうですそうです。なんならお二人をお送りしてもいいですよ。くまちゃん、車を回してあげてください。
あ、 結構です。俺たち自転車で来てるんで。
ご安心を。私たちワゴン車で来てますから。自転車も積めますよ。
We may have gone pretty sweetly, but we just needed to ride home at this point. I didn't want to bother police like that. One, however, nodded. Yeah, probably want to make sure nobody else disappears and goes out by themselves. Especially in the pair.
せっかくだからお世話になろうよ。私たちだけで帰るよりきっと安全だよ。
When I thought about it carefully, I realized that Lena's idea was extremely rational.
そうと決まれば行きましょう行きましょう。
じゃあね。おやすみ。レナもケイちゃんも。
So interesting that Mion has like hatred for Sadako in a way, blaming her for all of her family's pretty much deaths.
みーちゃんも早めに休んでね。おやすみ。
Maybe she really likes Satoshi, and once he disappeared, that love for Satoshi, because he was gone, she needed a target to place the blame on, so she blamed it on Sadako. And it turned into that she was cursed by Oshiro-sama. I waved my hand as well, saying goodbye. Rika-chan and Sadako still hadn't been found. My unease, however, was steadily being pushed away by sleepiness. When it had shown the police where our bicycles were, so that Oshi-san could haul them up into her truck. He prompted us to get into the back seat. I could hear the springs squeaking as I sat down into a seat that would normally hurt my rear end, but at this point it was soft. It was more than comfortable enough for me to fall asleep on.
では、レディーファーストで。お嬢さんの家から行きましょう。住所はどちらです？
ありがとうございます。私の家はですね、
And there goes Catchy. When his voice slowly grew distant, I felt myself being sucked into the void of sleep.
もしもーし。前原さん、完全に眠っちゃってますか？
When I came to, it was quiet. The car was parked. Oshi-san was giving me white slaps to the cheek. Didn't feel good at all, so I woke up immediately.
すみません。すっかり寝込んじゃって。
Something was being held right under my nose. Clumped up metal? It was a can of coffee.
ぬるいですがね。甘いカフェオレなら常温でも結構飲めますよ。
あ、どうも。
And mechanically took the can and opened the pull top. The feeling of the warm, sweet liquid going down my throat awakened my sleepy mind. When my drowsiness receded, I started wanting to know why the car was stopped and why I was offered coffee. Oshi-san, who had been in the driver's seat, had at some point moved to the back. Suddenly I had a very bad feeling about this. It reminded me of the questioning yesterday at the library. It was already too late by the time I realized I made a mistake. Today of all days, it didn't look like I would be getting away. I had a feeling that until Oshi-san heard what he wanted to, he wouldn't be letting me go.
そんなに構えられても困ります。別に取って食おうってわけじゃないんですから。前原さん。
Okay, what do you want to know, Oshi? Oshi-san gulped down the last of his coffee, then stretched wide, showing me how relaxed he was. God damn it. That, however, only served to hide my nervousness.
俺にまた何の用ですか？
よう。いえいえ、別に別に。
You're going to evade the question at this point? What a deeply unreadable man.
私からは用はないんですが、前原さんから私に用があるんじゃないかと思いましてね。
From you.
別に用なんかないです。
ありゃ、本当にあるんじゃないですか？
There was only one side door in the back seat of this truck. In other words, my only exit was blocked off by Oshi-san. Couldn't get away. Could only whip hanging my head and maintain my silence. Oshi-san, despite my residence, will actually began smoking a cigarette. The cries of the insects outside seemed to be growing longer and longer, to an amount of time that almost seemed infinite.
前原さんから相談したいことがきっとあったと思ってたんですけどね。
Yoshi-san exhaled a puff of smoke. The windows were open, but the tobacco smoke still accumulated inside the vehicle. How much did Oshi-san know? What did he know, and what did he want to hear from me? If finding out the truth made you disappear, then if I told him, would Oshi-san disappear too? I had a feeling that I didn't need to worry about that in his case.
どうしてこんなことになっちゃったんでしょうね。
Oshi-san addressed me in a low tone as if he was talking to himself. How all this ended up happening. How the hell should I know? That was what I wanted to know.
富武二郎さんと高野美代さん、ご存知ですよね。お祭りの時、園崎しおんさんを含めて4人で一緒におられたのを私がこの目で拝見してますから。その富武さんと高野さん、今どうしておられるかご存知ですか？実はお亡くなりになってましてね。気の毒な死に方でした。
Oshi-san probably played that card in order to surprise me. However, I already knew and displayed the extreme reaction he expected.
おや？ひょっとしてご存知でした？
Unfortunately for this question in particular, remaining silent was equivalent to saying yes.
じゃ
Pretty
あ
much.
こっちもご存知かな。富武さんと高野さんがたたりに遭われた理由の方です。なんでもですね、入っちゃいけない禁断の建物に入ったからだって言われてるんですよ。
Storehouse for a ritual of ferments. A forbidden shed, sealing away Himizawa's blood-stained past. We are the mistake that certain it all happened.
村長さんや古出里香さんもそのせいでたたりに遭われたんだという噂はご存知で？
That would mean it was mine and Shion's fault. He was right. As soon as we revealed what we did.
西宮殿って言いましたっけ？あそこの鍵を簡易なものに付け替えたから賊に入られたんだっていうケチがついてるらしいんですよ。
What? This was news to me.
一昨年くらいまでは西宮殿にはでっかい缶抜きとでっかい錠前がいくつも付けられていたらしいんですよ。
Yeah, we already knew this information due to the notebooks.
ところがほら、神主夫妻がお亡くなりになられて、今は古出里香さんが切り盛りされてるでしょ。缶抜きが重くて大変だから、もっと軽い簡単な錠前に付け替えてほしいと村長さんに相談したらしいんですよ。
I didn't know anything about those big bars he was talking about, but the lock had certainly been this simple one. It was a pretty cheap one too. Didn't really fit my impression of what a lock for a place you'd store something as important as ritual implements would look like.
リカさんはあの通り小柄な女の子ですからね。錆びついて重くなった缶抜きはしんどかったんでしょうな。で、村長さんが職人を手配して簡単な南京錠で鍵ができるように付け替えたんだそうです。
それがどうしてケチがつくことになるんですか？
つまりですね、前の厳重な錠前なら賊には忍び込まれなかった。村長さんとリカさんが勝手に安っぽい鍵に変えたから賊に破られたんだと、こういう話らしいんですよ。
そんな話。
そういう話がまかり通ってて、一部の村人たちが西宮殿に忍び込んだ賊と 俗に破られるような鍵に変えた村長とリカさんを罰したんだ。なんて話があったりなかったりしてるんですよ。
If they're doing that, then why the fuck when they go after Kechi and Shion? Why? Why? They're the ones who went in. They killed Takano, and hell, they even murdered Tomeki as well. So why the hell not Shion and Kechi? I was going to say, like, because they're inside, they're in the inner circle of Himizawa, but so was the mayor and Rika as well. And they were punished. They were made to disappear. Well, just because you're disappeared doesn't mean you're murdered. That's something to think about.
相原さん、どう思います？
どう思うって、その一部の村人ってのもよくわからないし。
御三家ってご存知ですかな？
The free
渡流し
families.
のお祭りの開会式典で各家の代表がそれぞれ挨拶をなさってるでしょ？
見ていません。祭りには途中から来たからよくは。
御三家ってのはひなみ沢の旧家の3つの家のことなんです。具体的に言うと君吉家、園崎家、古出家の3つのことです。本当に古い家筋らしくてね。大昔から村の決め事は御三家が合議して決めるんだと言われています。
The Kimiroshi family owned many Kimiroshi, meaning the mayor's family. The Sonozaki family was Mion's, so the Food family was Rika-chan's family then.
園崎家が戦後に一気に勢力を拡大しましてね。例のダム闘争で反ダムの旗頭になってからは事実上ひなみ沢を牛耳るトップに躍り出ました。でもですね、古いしきたりに従い今でも重要な村の方針は御三家で合議して決めているんだそうです。
Maybe they want to take out the other two families, just do it all themselves. Their word is law.
だから渡流しの開会挨拶も御三家の当主がそれぞれなさるんですよ。つまり村長と園崎家の現当主のおばあ様、そして古出家の最後の一人リカさんです。
園崎家が大した家柄だという話は聞かされてたけど、リカちゃんの家もそういう旧家だったのか。
まあご存知の通り親族は全くおられませんから。古出家は事実上全く勢力を持ちませんがね。ただリカさん個人には求心力があるようで、村のお年寄りには盲信する方が多いと聞いています。
Reason to make her disappear, to gain more power. It was certainly true that Rika-chan had an odd sort of charisma amongst the elderly.
で、その御三家ってのが何だって言うんですか？
Oshi-san paused for emphasis, lighting another cigarette.
ここまで説明してもまだ説明が足りませんかね。
わからないから聞いてるんです。
Oshi gave me a dry, meaningful grin and blew out another big puff of smoke.
御三家の人間が相次いで消されてるんです。
He's going to say that Zonasakis are behind it, so I guess it's always Oshi that I will wait to more on the theories.
どういうわけかね。ひなみ沢の内側の古い因習か何かに基づいているんじゃないかと読んでいるんですが、それ以上のことはさっぱり。
そんなの俺にだってさっぱりです。
ですから君吉家、古出家の当主が消えたんですから、次は園崎家の当主が消えるんじゃないかななんて思ったり思わなかったりしたりする今日この頃、いかがお過ごしでしょうか。なんちゃって。
園崎家の当主って誰だよ。
当主は園崎本家のおばあちゃんなんですが、実質上の当主権限はもう孫娘のミオンさんに移行していると見て間違いないでしょうね。
The visage of Mion giving prompt directions to the adults who was searching for Rika-chan sprung back to mind.
ミオンが消える
I didn't even thought of that possibility. All my hair stood on end. That's insane!
嫌でしょう。
当たり前だそんなの許せるものか
Cramp. Oshi-san grabbed my shoulders with both hands.
では協力を、前原さん。園崎美音さんについて最近気づいたことを何でもいいから話してください。
Shit. They keep winning on the theory that the Sunozakis are doing this. But there's one thing, there's one piece of thing, one evidence that just blows that away. Why didn't it happen before? If it's a power play, why didn't it happen before? So it really does give credence to the next person to disappear will be Mion. I was going along with him. By the time I realized that it was too late, Oshi-san brought his face in closer, almost close enough to wham into me, waiting for my next words. This pressure. Can he tear my eyes away from his? That moment I heard a beeping sound. It was from the driver's seat. He ignored it at first, but then it started to bother him, so he finally let go of me and leaned into the driver's seat.
もしもし。はいはい、感度良好。
I was saved. Of course, it's not like I could use this opening to escape.
そうですね。はいはい。
Yeah, could you guys shut up? I'm trying to interrogate this kid.
では戻りましょう。はいはい。はいはい。
Apparently, he was being recalled. Now that I knew I'd be free, the tension in my body dissipated all at once.
そろそろ戻らないといけないみたいです。これからがいいところだったんですが、残念ですね。
Oshi-san flung open the door, exited, and walked around to the front of the driver's seat. He left the door open. Did that mean I could leave?
前原さんは友達思いの今時関心な若者です。友人のことを警察に喋ると、なんだか裏切っているような気持ちになるのをよくわかっていますよ。前原さん、一晩差し上げますから、ゆっくりお休みになってよく考えてくださいね。前原さんのほんのちょっとの勇気が結局大勢の友人を救うことにつながるかもしれないのです。
Did he want to say that sacrifices won't stop with Rika-chan and Sadako? Also, I want to say something. It's very interesting. The, sort of like, Oshi is the same exact character, and the same kind of events are happening with Kechi and Oshi. But Kechi views Oshi entirely differently from the first chapter. And it kind of got to me as well, a little bit of like a little bit of distrust for Oshi as well, which is very like great storytelling of able to make this character from the first chapter seem like the best ally, the only person you could rely on, into not a antagonist, but as a person you shouldn't tell everything to, type of like a distrustful person. That's the word. It's very, very interesting how that game is able to do that. It's very good.
分かってると思いますが、綿流し以降、毎晩何かが起こります。これまでは毎年1回だったたたりが、今年は連日。本当に景気のいい年です。
そんなの景気がいいなんて言いません。
おととい、昨日、そして今日。明日の晩も起こらないなんて保証、どこにも。それを未然に防ぐのが私たちの仕事ですが、それには前原さんの協力が不可欠なんです。
I walked out the open door to see none other than my own house right in front of me. It creeped me out that he knew my name and address, but I was still too sleepy right now. It was too sweet to care.
まあ今日はもう眠いでしょう。もう3時になりますからね。どうぞごゆっくりお休みになってください。
はい。では失礼します。
When I was about to get out of the truck, as if to deliver a parting blow, Oshi-san in a raised voice.
私、前原さんが話す気になってくれるまで毎日来ちゃいますからね。取り調べして自白を強要ってのもう時代じゃないと思いますんで。
They couldn't say anything in response, but me slamming the door shut probably served the same purpose. After widely beeping the horn, Oshi-san's truck drove off. I went to the front door without waving goodbye. The door was locked, but the chain wasn't up. I unlocked the door and entered. Then walked over to the staircase. That was where I lost consciousness. Damn. Shit. I know being tired, but damn, was he tired. Is that going to be the end of the chapter? Yeah. Oh my god, that is a lot. That is a lot of tips. I'll do those tips next episode. If you guys enjoyed this type of content, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, hit the like button. Want to tell me something, put it down in the comments below. Want to check out my Discord server or my Twitter, check description below. And yeah, this has been I think this has been the best chapter so far in the entire game right now. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. See ya!
Have you ever wanted to play? You could meet people and kick them in the face. Well, I got news for you. It's a place called Jimmy's Bar. It's